For 12 years, she lived as a ghost, a quiet mechanic in a forgotten town. But when unstoppable war machines filled the skies, the world discovered her secret. She wasn't ordinary, she was the Phantom Wing, the hidden ace who could outfly death itself. The sea air smelled of salt and rust. Along the quiet docks of a coastal town, few people noticed the woman who worked late in a forgotten hangar at the edge of the pier. She wore oil-stained coveralls, her dark hair tied back, and her hands steady as she repaired fishing boats or tuned small engines. To the townsfolk, she was simply Clara Dawson, the mechanic who fixed what others broke. But Clara was not ordinary at night. When the world slept, she pulled a heavy tarp off an old simulator hidden at the back of the hangar. The screen flickered to life, glowing pale blue against her tired face. Her fingers slid across the worn throttle, gripping the joystick with the ease of memory. The machine whirred, and suddenly the quiet mechanic was gone. In her place sat a phantom pilot, eyes sharp, muscles tense, mind calculating invisible battles. In the sky, Clara had once been the best, a fighter ace, a name whispered with respect inside military circles. She had flown missions that few dared to attempt, high-speed interceptions, midnight rescues, and duels at the edge of survival. Her instincts had made her legendary. Her precision had saved lives. And her defiance, her refusal to bend to politics, had cost her everything. 12 years had passed since she walked away. 12 years since she had removed the flight suit and buried it in a trunk beneath her floorboards. The official story said she retired. The truth was heavier. She had left after a mission went wrong. One wingman lost, another badly injured. Orders had been unclear. Command had shifted the blame, and Clara had carried the weight. She had chosen exile over betrayal. Now she lived among fishing nets and diesel fumes, patching holes instead of hunting enemies in the sky. But her body had not forgotten. Her mind had not let go. Each night, she practiced alone. Rolls, dives, evasions, the moves of a ghost, still tied to the sky. Sometimes, when a jet thundered overhead, she froze. Her pulse quickened, her jaw clenched. She would look up, following the contrail across the clouds, and her chest ached with something she couldn't name. The townsfolk saw only a quiet woman staring at the horizon. They never guessed she was tracking angles, speeds, and vectors in her head. Like a phantom still flying in invisible war, the town trusted her. She repaired their engines, carried groceries for the elderly, and never raised her voice. Children thought she was strange, but kind. Fishermen respected her silence. Clara blended in so well that even her neighbors had no idea that behind her calm eyes lived the reflexes of a hawk and the memories of battles. The world would never know, but the past does not sleep forever. Rumors began to reach the dockside, cafes' strange sounds at night, a thunder that was not thunder, lights flashing across the horizon. Some said it was the military testing weapons. Others swore it was something worse. Clara listened quietly, her hands steady as she poured coffee into a chipped mug. But inside, her instincts stirred. The sky was calling again. Clara tried to ignore the whispers. Strange sounds in the night, shadows crossing the clouds, fishermen swearing they saw streaks of light above the waves. She told herself it wasn't her concern. She was just a mechanic now. Her days belonged to salt air and broken engines, not to battlefields or missions. But instincts cannot be silenced. One evening, as she locked the hangar, she heard a low roar over the ocean, not the steady hum of commercial planes, not the rattle of cargo helicopters. This was different, fast, sharp, cutting through the night like a blade. Clara froze. Her eyes darted skyward. A streak of fire vanished behind the cliffs. Then, silence. Her chest tightened. That was no fishing craft. No harmless drill. The next morning, the docks buzzed with rumors. A cargo ship's crew claimed they saw two jets chasing each other before dawn. Another fisherman swore he heard explosions far out at sea. Clara kept her head down, but inside, her pulse drummed like a warning bell. That evening, she returned to the simulator. The glow lit her face as she replayed the sounds in her mind. Her hands moved quickly, testing evasions, anticipating maneuvers. It was as if her body already knew the truth, that trouble was coming, and she could not ignore it. 2 nights later, the truth arrived. A convoy of military trucks rolled quietly through town after sunset. No sirens, no fanfare, just a low rumble of engines. Clara watched from the shadows of her hangar as they passed. At the center, a black SUV with tinted windows. She knew that style of movement. It wasn't supply work, it was command. She shut her eyes. Her life of invisibility was ending. The next day, she wasn't surprised when a knock echoed against her hangar door. She opened it to find a tall man in uniform. His hair was grayer than she remembered, but his voice was the same, steady, commanding. Impossible to ignore. "Clara Dawson," he said quietly. "It's been a long time." It was Colonel Briggs, her old commanding officer. The man who had once trusted her with missions no one else dared. The man she had walked away from without saying goodbye. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then he said, "We need you." Clara wanted to slam the door, to tell him that chapter was closed, that the pilot he once knew was gone. But Briggs stepped inside before she could stop him. His eyes scanned the hangar. He noticed the tarp covering the simulator. He smiled faintly. "You never really left, did you?" Clara's jaw tightened. "Why are you here?" Briggs lowered his voice. "There's a threat we can't contain. Something new, something dangerous. We've lost pilots trying to stop it, and when I searched the files for who might understand, only one name stood out." Clara turned away, wiping her hands on her coveralls. "I'm not part of your world anymore. You think hiding in this town erases what you are." His words were sharp. "You're still the best we ever had." Clara felt anger stir. "I buried that life for a reason." "I know," Briggs said quietly. "I was there. I saw what command did to you. But this is bigger than orders. This is survival." He handed her a file. Clara hesitated, then opened it. Photos spilled out, wreckage twisted like broken bones, ships scorched, skies lit by fire. And then the last image, a dark, sleek drone, larger than any she had ever seen. Its design was alien, its movements unpredictable. "What is that?" she whispered. "An experimental stealth machine. It's gone rogue. We don't know if it's ours, or stolen tech, but it's deadly. And it's multiplying." Clara stared at the photos. Memories clawed at her chest. Engines roaring, comrades screaming, skies burning. She had sworn never to return. Yet here it was, the sky demanding her again. Briggs studied her face. "Clara, we're out of options. If you don't help, more lives will be lost." She closed the file with trembling hands. The mechanic inside her wanted to walk away. But the pilot, the Phantom, was awake again. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She sat in the hangar, staring at the file. The drone's silhouette seemed to follow her, even in the shadows. She poured herself a drink, but her hands shook too much to hold it steady. Finally, she dragged the tarp from the simulator. She strapped in, heart pounding. The machine came alive, humming with power. For hours, she practiced maneuvers, evading missiles, diving into canyons, facing off against phantom drones her mind invented. Sweat dripped down her temples. Her breath came sharp. The Phantom pilot was back. When dawn came, Clara walked to the docks, exhausted but calm. She watched the sunrise bleed across the ocean. For the first time in 12 years, she admitted the truth. She missed it, the sky, the fight, the impossible edge between life and death. By noon, Colonel Briggs returned. He didn't need to ask. Her decision, the look in her eyes told him everything. "I'll do it," she said simply. He nodded. "Then you'll need training." Technology has changed, but instincts, yours are still unmatched. The base was hidden in the cliffs an hour away. Clara hadn't walked into one in years. The smell of jet fuel hit her like a ghost. Pilots turned their heads as she entered. Whispers spread quickly. Some were shocked, some skeptical, but all knew her name, Phantom Wing. One young pilot whispered, "I thought she was a myth." Clara ignored them. She walked straight to the hangar, where a sleek jet waited, an updated model, sharper and faster than anything she had flown before. Her hands itched for the controls. Asterisk training began immediately. The instructors expected rust, hesitation, but Clara slid into the cockpit as if she had never left. Her grip was steady, her eyes locked on every gauge. The engines roared, and she felt alive again. She soared into the clouds. The jet moved with breathtaking speed, sharper than the old fighters she remembered. Yet her reflexes matched it easily. Rolls, dives, precision turns, every maneuver came back like a forgotten language suddenly remembered. Below, the control tower fell silent. Instructors exchanged glances. Colonel Briggs smiled faintly. "She hasn't lost it," he muttered. But Clara knew this was only the beginning. The drones she would face weren't bound by human limits. They were machines of pure speed and calculation. To defeat them, she would need more than memory. She would need instincts, something no computer could match. After hours in the sky, she landed. Her body ached, but her spirit surged. For the first time in years, she felt whole. That night, Briggs met her in the command room. A map lit the wall. Red marks dotted the coastline. "They strike at random," he explained. "Ships, bases, even civilian routes.